BookTube, this is Alan, the Lonely Bookshelf here with a book haul. It's kind of small, got three books here. Kind of a small book haul. It's been cold the last 2 days. It'll be cold the next two nights. We had rain the last 2 days, and that brought in the cold weather. And so, anyway, and the high was today was around, didn't get it out of the 50s, and it's now like 42, 44, something like that. Well, the first book I'm going to show you is the one that I've talked about before, and that was on my Nonfiction November TBR, and that was In Search of Holy Russia by Fathers Spyridon Bailey. And this is the book. It came out last year. And what is interesting is because I had it on the ebook, if you recall, on my Kindle, but I really wanted the physical copy, and that happens a lot, that I would want the physical copy uh, and just look at the ebook rather than looking at the Kindle, because there's a lot of information in it. And of course, you have the famous picture. This is St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow, and it's a famous picture in Moscow. People look at this one because it's located right on Red Square, and right next to the Kremlin with the red walls. And the also in 1928, the communists shut the church down. They shut the church down and turned it into a warehouse, a museum, or something. And it is still a warehouse. Excuse me, it's a museum today. They do have services there just once a year, and that's it. And the father, Spyridon Bailey, talks about his adventure inside this cathedral, and he said it wasn't felt like a souvenir shop, a tourist attraction. You would go inside, and there wasn't the iconoclast and the icons that would be there. Excuse me, weren't all that impressive, and they had a little souvenir shop also. But this came out in 2018. And he said that the people in Russia, he was talking to a couple of monks, and he said, and one of the monks tells him, I tell you this, Father, my greatest problem with these people in this parish is that they all want to be as ascetics. And he goes, why is that the problem? And the reply was, we must stay on the golden path down the middle, neither turning neither to the left or right, or of course we to resist gluttony that is well known, and the signs of overeating become obvious to everyone. But we are not monks. We do not try to fast like monks. We have Wednesday and Fridays to fast. Too many of my people fall to the trap of wanting to do more. And now that reminds me of when he said he wanted to do more. And and if he goes further on, it says, when we set ourselves above our neighbors, when we secretly do more and think we are better than them, this is a great fall. I see so many times people coming close to this trap to be overzealous and dangerous, Father. Let let what the church has commanded us to do be enough. We must remember that being boastful is not just a matter of what we say. We can be boastful in the heart while still making a show of being humble. And St. John of Kronstadt said that God is able to see the sinners we are, but then not the saints we pretend to be. And that reminds me of the time when Jesus warned his disciples, saying, "Do not let your righteousness exceed that of the Pharisees," because the Pharisees were that way. They were trying to be more zealous, as ascetic than anybody else, according to with the law and everything. So this is very good, and actually I'm reading on the ebook on my Kindle, on my phone actually, on the bus. So, but I wanted to keep this physical copy. A couple of videos ago, I mentioned about the Condell History Prize, and then I mentioned that one of the books on the Condell History Prize, not that they don't call it shortlist, they forgot the name they called it. It just has 3 books, finalists probably, the final three books. But anyway, one of those books was shortlisted for the Wilson Prize, which is a history prize that is given out in the UK. And that prize has been going on since 1972. And prior to 2016, they had multiple winners of the Wilson Prize. Since 2016, they only have one winner. So I went back through the Wilson History Prize list of the books that won since 1972, and it didn't take long. And one of the books I got and ordered is this one here. This is Russia Against Napoleon by Dominic Lieven. This won the Wilson History Prize in 2010. And it says up here, the true story of campaigns of war and peace, Russia Against Napoleon. And this is by Viking Press. And it has this wraparound cover, as you see. It just wraps around the back. Let's see if I can put that like that. And as I said, by Viking Press, came out in 2009. And I actually bought this on sale because the regular price was $35.95. And the Russia Against Napoleon tells the story of most astonishing dramas in Europe's history. In the summer of 1812, Napoleon, the master of almost the whole continent, marched into Russia with a large army assembled, confident that he would sweep aside everything before him. Less than 2 years later, the Russian army was itself marching into Paris, and Napoleon's empire laid in ruins. Making use for the first time of previous inaccessible material from the Russian archives, Dominic Lieven writes with great panache and insight, describing how the Russians went from retreat, defeat, and the burning of Moscow to becoming the new liberators of Europe. It conveys the savagery and valor of the fighting, including such used in set pieces as the Battle of Leipzig. The often tense diplomacy that held together the Allied coalition against Napoleon, and the amazing feats of supply that allowed the Russian army to cut its way across Europe. So this is it's a hefty book. There's a lot of bibliography, a lot of notes, and there is it's about 537 pages, and there's a lot of photos in here. That's Alexander the First, by the way, and then you have a lot of the other emperors and generals of the Russian fleet. And this is the Cossack Life Guard Regiment. This color photo right here. Reprint and excuse me. Excuse me. One on Instagram, one of the Instagram persons I follow took a trip to where the battle between Napoleon's army and the Russian army took place. And it shows and, there in Russia, and it shows a huge billboard, and it tells you about the advances in the Russian army and the defense of the French army and how the battle took place. But also there are 13 cannons from that they captured from the Russian army because they had defeated them. And the and they're still there, and it has that, and there on where the round, I don't know what they call it, but it's the part where you load the shell into. No, the shell goes in the other side. You fire it, and it has that green, has an N on there for Napoleon, and it that was a fascinating to watch. And there are maps in here, and that's what I'm trying to get to. That's why I keep bending down. This is a couple of maps in here. This is the campaign in the spring of 1813, and then you have a couple of battles. Battle of Boston, Battle of Kutzbach is the Dresden campaign. It's all laid out. A lot of battles in here. A lot of illustrations, and the pictures are not in the center, but close to the end. It's kind of strange. I've never seen that before. And this is the type of uniforms they wore. It's private. You see the type of uniforms they wore. So this is very good. I would rather have had this one. But I got that one. I do have a book. I don't know where it is. It's on the shelf somewhere. Over there. Over there. And it's one I've forgotten. It's from Pen and Sword Books. And it's about the battle, the Russian against the French. The next book I got with that was Wilson, a Wilson History Prize winner. This one's a Wilson History Prize winner in 2014. One of the winners is also the second one. And this book came out in 2013. So you can see that the Wilson History Prize, they go for what books come out the previous year and award the prize the next year. See, so this year you'll have history books that come out in 2021. The next year they'll award the prize for books that came out in 2021. And that makes sense. This book is called The Red Fortress: History and Illusion in the Kremlin. And this is by Catherine Merridale. So you have, she wrote a previous book called Ivan's War. And this is by Metropolitan Books. And it says here on the flyleaf, Kremlin is the heart of the Russian state, a fortress whose blooded walls have witnessed more than 800 years of political drama and extraordinary violence. It's been the seat of priestly monarchy, early church, has served the crossroads for diplomacy, trade, and espionage. It has survived earthquakes, devastating fires, and at least 3 revolutions. Generations of Russian leaders have sought to use the Kremlin to legalize their vision of statehood. And, excuse me, drawing on a dazzling array of sources from the unseen archives and rare collections, renowned historian Catherine Merridale traces the full history of this enigmatic fortress. The Kremlin has inspired innumerable myths, but known vivid tales could be more dramatic than the operatic secessions and savage betrayal that took place within its vast compound of palaces and cathedrals. Today, it's a sumptuous golden crosses and huge red stars blaze side by side as the Kremlin fulfills its centuries-old role, linking the country's recent history to its distant past and proclaiming the entire internal continuity of the Russian state. So, Catherine Merridale is an author of the claim Ivan's War, Life and Death of the Red Army, and Knight of Stone, Death and Memory in the 12th, 20th century Russia. She is professor of history at Queen's Mary University in London. She's written for The Guardian, The Literary Review, and London Review of Books. She lives in Oxfordshire, England. And this has a lot of pictures in it. This book has a lot of notes and indexes, further reading, and it has 2 sets of pictures here. And yeah, this is the old one right here. This is a picture of 1898. That's what the Kremlin walls look like in 1898. It hadn't changed. It probably looks the same as it does today. And this one here is the this is a map of the Kremlin up here. Excuse me. This one here is a map of the Kremlin in the early 20th century, it says. And this is the Victory Parade. The top one is the Victory Parade in Red Square, 1945. And you can actually go to YouTube and watch a video of the 1945 Victory Parade. That's after the fall of Nazi Germany. But this is the Louis Mausoleum in Red Square, right here. And there are a lot of good pictures in here. And I have no idea why they have that picture in there. They do. Oh. And there's some other pictures in here. It's very good. It looks like a very good book. Very interesting. I mean, I'm glad I bought it. And Anna Applebaum, many of you know, stated that may be the best historical portrait of life in the Red Army yet published. Research with extraordinary patience and a wonderful ear for nuance. And Anthony Beevor said that essential reading for anyone who wants to understand Russia. So, yeah. So we have 3 books. We have that Red Fortress, the History and Illusion in the Kremlin. I like the picture. Napoleon against Russia, Dominic Lieven. And the true story of the campaigns of war and peace, with this cool wraparound cover. And the final one was the Search of Holy Russia for Father Spyridon Bailey. Well, thank you for watching, and take care of yourself, and пока.